Something big just happened in the Florida housing market, and today we're going to do a deep dive into exactly what's happening in the market because a lot has changed. And if you're not in my market and you're looking for data about the housing market, please stay tuned because I'm absolutely committed to showing you exactly what's happening as quickly as I can. And if you find this content valuable, then please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and let's get into the data right now because the data does not lie. The numbers do not lie. And my job is simply to provide you with the best information so that you can go out there and make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. Let's get into it right now. So I'm going to start from a really big 5,000 foot overview, and we're going to check out the home value index by county as per Zillow in January 2023. Now, of course, we are almost in March, so this data is not current, but I think it's instructive because it's analyzed in a way, or actually it's presented in a way that is very easily digestible. And as you can see on this map of the United States, and to be clear, I'm not covering the entire United States right now, but I can at some point in the future create data that showcases what's happening in each of those housing markets. But today we are primarily concerned with Broward County. And then from there, we're going to go hyper-local into the city of Parkland. And then from there, we're going to go extra granular into a market, into a zip code where I've got active buyers that are shopping right now. So in order for me to be able to know exactly what the temperature of that hyper-local market is, I've got to do my due diligence, and I'm sharing it with you so that you can see what that process looks like. And then from there, we know what our options are. We can negotiate the best deal, and we know we will have all the leverage, and this is how we can have confidence in doing what we're going to do. This is the map of the United States, and for this particular video, I, again, am only interested in Broward County. But as you can see, you got all of Florida here, and I am interested in Broward County. So let's look at Broward County. Here we go. Now, to be clear, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach County, that metro is in demand. And to be abundantly clear, each of these metros, each of these counties are separate markets. And then the markets that exist within those counties are very different. You will pay a premium to live near the ocean, to live that coastal lifestyle. And depending on what type of product you're looking for and where it's located, you will also pay a premium. So I think it's instructive to know what the big picture number is, but it's far more important to understand the granularity that exists in the market that you're shopping. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to look at the peak to trough prices from Broward County. And if you've been watching for a while, you know that in each one of these housing market data dumps that I do, we cover all of these numbers. But this is presented in a way where it's a lot more easily digested. And what you can see is peak to trough in Broward County, there's been an increase of $12,390. And then from there, it gives you more information by month. And what I suspect is going to come to a surprise to no one is that we've had a massive explosion in home appreciation. The market has gone absolutely bonkers. And from peak to trough, pre-pandemic, the market has exploded. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like from January 2019, an uptick of almost 49%, and from January 2018, an uptick of damn near 60%. And so that's what it is. Now, is that sustainable is a much better question to ask. And I'm on the record as stating that I don't expect to see anything like that type of appreciation anytime soon. But I do think we will aggressively renormalize and rebalance and go back to single-digit growth as we move forward. But I could be wrong. I don't know, yet to be determined. And this data is also from last month, from January, and we're trending into March. But let's get more current and more granular because as we proceed, I will get hyper-local and I'll show you what's happening in the market up to yesterday. Let's drill down deeper and see what's going on in Broward County. All right, Broward County numbers are out for January 2023, and the first thing that catches my attention is that there's been a massive drop-off in demand. There has been a massive drop-off in closed sales. That number is 42.3%. I'm going to round it down to 42, but that's a massive drop in demand. To be clear, that does not mean there is no demand, but it does mean there are a lot of folks that have been priced out of the market based on mortgage interest rates exploding and homes continuing to appreciate. So the frenzy of a year ago no longer exists. And if you're shopping for a home, that's great news because there's far less competition. And if you're thinking about selling a home, well, let's see what the numbers reveal, because I suspect, although I know there is a shortage of homes for buyers to buy, there are less buyers, and there's certainly a lot more homes for sale, which means that someone who is shopping has options, and someone who's thinking about selling has a lot more competition. But let's see what the numbers yield. Now, to be perfectly clear, I am only covering single family homes. That's the data I am most interested in, and I want to be brief. I don't want this to be another 20-minute video, so we are going to stick for single family homes in Broward County. And as we mentioned earlier, you can see massive drop off in closed sales, down 42%. Median sales price, which again, I don't like median sales price. The reason for that, I think it is misleading. The median is simply the middle number in the range of values that they're calculating, and it's not as accurate as the average sales price. So I don't like it. Okay, average sales price, what did that look like? And to be clear, what should be very interesting is that the appreciation between average sales price and median is very different. But the median sales price is $540. It's up 8.2%, and it jumped from $499,000 to $540. But I know in most of the markets that I'm shopping in Broward County, and specifically Parkland, which we're going to cover next, I know that you cannot get a home for $540,000. But okay, let's look at the average sales price. And again, to be clear, I'm talking about Broward County overall. This is a macro number. This is a bigger picture analysis. And it doesn't relate to the micro markets. But the average sales price in Broward County, well, that increased too, but it only increased 1%. So the average sales price went from $738,000 to $746, an uptick of 1%. Which is exactly what I've been talking about in terms of single-digit growth. But to be clear, the market can go down. The market can trade flat. The market can go up 50%. But I suspect with mortgage interest rates going higher and the Fed very likely to increase the Fed funds rate significantly, and I'm looking for a half basis point when they talk next month, I suspect that mortgage interest rates are going to go back to historical norms. I suspect we're going to be looking at something close to 10% mortgage interest rates. And to be perfectly clear, I'm not rooting for 10% interest rates, and neither is my dog, but the Fed is going to continue to be hawkish. They're going to do what they must to control inflation, to bring employment down, and we're already seeing that happen. We're seeing mass layoffs across the board in many sectors, and it's just getting started. And when I look at some of the earnings announcements and some of the forecasting from companies like Home Depot and others out there, they're signaling that they don't expect that 2023 or 2024 is going to be the best market. And those cues are leading indicators as to what's happening right now in today's market. But the real estate market is the last market to be impacted. It's the last market to fall. And so when Home Depot came out and they talked about their earnings and their forecast, the market sold off 600 or 700 points in a few hours because the stock market prices in those changes instantaneously. And I know there are tons of analysts out there that are talking about a bear market coming. And I also know there are all types of doomsday content creators that will lead you to believe it's the end of the world. So hide underneath your bed and suck your thumb. But I don't think that's the best plan. You must be prudent, you must be responsible, you must be disciplined, you must know what you want, and you must know what the housing market conditions are when you're ready to make a move. And make no mistake, real estate will always trade. It's always a good market for someone, and my job is to provide you with the best information, the most accurate information, so that you can make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. But let's keep on trucking. Dollar volume of closed sales is down 42%. Well, that makes sense because closed sales are down too. percent of original list price received. And to be clear, this percentage of original list price was 100% or greater for consecutive months for a long time up until recently. And now what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing 93.3% for January 2023, which is a decrease of 5.3%. And some of that may be due to the fact that listings are overpriced, and some of that is probably due to the fact that buyers are negotiating much better deals. And in today's market, you can absolutely negotiate better deals. And from there, let's go to time to contract. Well, the median time to contract is up 137%, from 16 days to 38. Now, that is a big jump. It's an exponential jump as far as percentage gains are concerned. Let's keep some reality-based context. 38 days to contract is not a long time. That's still very fast relative to a normal market. But the days of having your house under contract with multiple offers that are bidding the price higher in a day or two are essentially over, unless you know how to price the home and market the home the right way, which is something that we specialize in. So irrespective of market conditions, you can always create a market within a market to bid the price higher and get what you want, but you must work with a professional who knows how to do that. All right, let's keep on trucking. Let's look at pending sales. Well, pending sales are down almost 19%. And from there, let's look at new listings. And this is interesting. Now, to be clear, seasonality may have had a lingering effect on new listings, but I suspect it's got less to do with seasonality and more to do with the seller being willing to trade up into a much higher interest rate. And most homeowners who have a mortgage right now are in under 4%. So the odds of them wanting to take on a much bigger payment are low. Now, to be clear, in this type of market, in a buyer's market, you can negotiate better deals to buy down your interest rate. And if you've got a motivated seller, chances are they will be agreeable to that. But yet to be determined, I don't know. It's on a case-by-case basis. But understand, if you're working with the right type of professional, odds are you will be able to negotiate a lower interest rate than whatever the market rate is right now. And I think right now it's somewhere around 7%. And if you've got bad credit, it's 8 or 9%, which is no bueno. But nonetheless, new listings are down 5% in January. Inventory of homes for sale, massive uptick, up 70%. So if you're shopping for a home, congratulations, there are a lot more choices. And if you're thinking about selling a home, the last thing that you want to do is have more competition. And bear in mind, these are January numbers, and I can tell you for certain that February numbers are going to be much higher. The supply of homes for sale is on the uptick. And while we're still in a seller's market, make no mistake, we are trending to a buyer's market across the board. And at some point, when the consumer, when the homeowner feels the pain of recession and must solve for their financial pain, I suspect many homeowners who have a ton of equity, at least right now, are all going to be thinking about selling. And you don't want to be in a situation where everyone is rushing to the market at the same time, because that's when you've got zero leverage, and chances are you're not going to get anywhere near the equity that you think you have today. Which brings us finally to month's supply of inventory. And I've already mentioned that it is still a seller's market, and that is true, right? The month supply has jumped up exponentially, up 131% to 3 months. Well, in January of 2022, it was 1.3 months. Now, to be clear, I'm talking about Broward County. In markets that exist within Broward County, those numbers are very different. There are some markets where there is less than 3 months. There are other markets where there is a lot more than 3 months. So it's critical to understand where you're shopping so that you can negotiate the best deal. But that's it for Broward County. Now let's get into Parkland and see what those numbers look like. Before I go hyper granular, I want to show exactly which cities exist within Broward County, and this map is very instructive to show you exactly what they are. But if you're not familiar with the area, it will give you a 5,000-foot overview of how big Broward County is and how many cities are in it. But for today, we're talking about Parkland, so although this is helpful to see what all the cities are, really we're going to focus on Parkland. Closed sales, January 2023 in Parkland, down 15%. Median sales price up 12.5%. And to be clear, I'm not a big fan of median. Let's look at the average sales price because that is going to be more instructive. The average sales price jumped 10% to 1.232. That's a big jump. 10% gains is double digit gains. I'm suspecting we are going to see single digit gains throughout 2023, but who knows, yet to be determined. Percent of original list price received is down 4%, similar to Broward County trends and similar to what I suspect we're going to see in other markets. And I'm going to cover those other markets soon, so please subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you find this content valuable. Time to contract up almost 100% to 55 days. As I mentioned earlier, 55 days seems like a long time if you think it takes 2 days to sell a home. But in a balanced, regular market, 55 days is not necessarily unusual. Now, if you price your home the right way, it's going to be a lot less than 55 days, but that's what it is for now, and that trend is on the uptick. Pending sales down 27%. New listings are up 2%, and new listings are up 2%. Inventory of homes for sale up almost 120%, and month supply of inventory up 200%. And if we look at what that was in January of 2022, it was 0.9 months, less than a month. That was the frenzy. And now it's 2.7 months, which is similar to the 3 months that we saw in Broward County. Well, what does that tell us? It tells us there are more homes for sale. The inventory of homes for sale is up 120%, and there's 2.7 months, which is still a seller's market. But let's go even more granular and let's look into the zip code where I have a buyer shopping who I suspect is very interested in knowing what those numbers are. Because from there, we've got much more information to know how to negotiate the right way. Now, full disclosure, I can get much more granular and go into subdivisions and go into streets and really get super hyper local data. For this exercise, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay at the zip code level. And most of this zip code in Parkland is really Heron Bay. And while there are some other communities that exist within this zip code, primarily we're talking about Heron Bay. And let's see what those numbers yield. Well, what you can see in January of 2023, the active price, the average active price on a home for sale was up almost 1%, but the average sold price was down 6.1%, a downtick, a downtrend. What does that mean for the future? Well, I suspect if there's a lot of supply and not a lot of demand for an expensive product in a community that is dated relative to other newer communities, I suspect that most buyers are not going to want to pay a premium for those older homes, those dated homes. Now, there will be outliers, there will be updated homes that exist within those communities, but by and large, I would suspect that most buyers who want something new are not going to pay a premium for something old. And that's what the numbers say. We're down 6.1% in January. And if we look at the current month versus the same month a year ago, it's down 2.8%. And if we go back versus the quarter a year ago, we're up 7% or almost 7.6%. So again, time takes time, and these things are going to continue to happen, and we'll have more data as we go into the future. But this is a look back, and this is what it is for right now. As far as today's stats go, and this is what's really most useful if you're shopping right now, let's look at what the current versus previous month to date is. Well, the active average price is up almost 10%, and the average sold price is down. Well, it's not 10%, it's 9%. So what does that tell me? It tells me that homeowners think that their home is worth more than the market does. It tells me that there are listing agents that are allowing their clients to overprice their homes. And I suspect as we continue to go into the year, those sellers are going to get their teeth kicked in. A home is only worth what a buyer will pay, and a buyer is not going to pay a dime more. As of right now this month, that number is to the tune of 9% less. And if we take this current period and compare it to the same month a year ago, it's down 10.1%. And if we go further and look at the current versus previous year to date, well, we're down 5.8% as far as sold price, and we're up 12.7% as far as active price on the market. That tells me that this disconnect is prevalent and will probably continue to be so until the pain of recession becomes sufficient enough for people to become reality based. Now, I hope you found this content valuable, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and check out my next video because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time,